Hi friends, it's Wednesday, it's devotionals, it's Megan. It's still a little bit New Year, and actually today was, or still is, I should say, still is Inauguration Day. So a day for new, for change, for different. Regardless of what side of the aisle you're on, it is a day of change. So we'll see. And speaking of change, uh, please also, please forgive the lighting. I've messed with this so much and try to figure it out, but today the lighting is just weird. So I'm sorry, I'm doing my best. It's all kinds of new things that I'm learning of how to do what I'm doing. So anyway, speaking of change and speaking of different, I was looking at some other devotionals recently, and the question of Jesus's relationship with people came up. And I thought, have you ever noticed that when Jesus reaches out to people, their lives are dramatically changed? When Jesus encounters people, intentionally or unintentionally, their lives are altered. Now, most of the time, in fact, just about all of the time, their lives are altered for the better. There's only a few instances where they are not. The only one that actively comes to mind is the second thief on the cross during the crucifixion. Jesus turns to the first one and says, "Today you will be with me in paradise," after their words and their exchange. But the second one still doesn't believe, still doesn't see the importance of Jesus. So when Jesus intentionally or unintentionally encounters people, their lives are changed. Their lives are altered. Again, like I said, more often than not, for the better. A few examples are Simon Peter's mother. She's sick. Jesus enters the house. She's made well. He says, "Get up." And she does. Her fever breaks. She's healed. Then the centurion's daughter, the man comes to Jesus and says, "Lord, you don't have to go. Just say the words, and I know that you will heal my daughter." Jesus does. The woman who touches the end of his garment, she is healed just because she believes that Jesus has the power to heal her. The disciples in the storm, Jesus reaches out, not necessarily to the disciples, but reaches out to calm the storm, and the disciples' lives are altered yet again. Simon Peter, as he's walking on the water, and he says, "I believe I can do it." And he does, but then, he starts to freak out a little, and Jesus reaches out his hand, takes Simon Peter's hand, and again, his life is altered. Most of the time, when Jesus reaches out, lives are dramatically altered. The last few weeks, we've talked about relationships, sharing your journey, sharing your light. When we talked on the day of Epiphany, we talked about the light the Magi followed and how we take that light for ourselves. And then when we take it within ourselves, we can't help but share that light. And last week we talked about who we share our journey with and who leads us home when we feel lost. Have you noticed a theme? When we are in relationship, we are dramatically altered. Now, when we are in relationship with Jesus, we are dramatically altered, more often than not for good. And I would love to say that for all relationships, but we all know that's not true. There are some relationships that are not good, and our lives are dramatically altered, and not always for the better. I realize that happens, but that's not the focus. The focus is realizing that when you have a relationship, a true, caring relationship, your life is altered. And I would dare say dramatically altered. And I would say for the better. Think of those relationships that you have where your life has been altered because you have a relationship with a specific person. Your spouse, your best friend, your sister, your brother, a cousin, anyone who you have a relationship, a meaningful relationship with. Maybe it was only for a season. Maybe it's been for your entire life. Maybe this is a friendship that started when you are young and you are more experienced in years now. Those relationships dramatically alter our lives, and more often, they alter them for the better. Our journeys are made better for the relationships we share within them. Our scripture and our lives bear testament and offer probably countless examples, but the two I wanted to share with you today are the scripture passage from Ecclesiastes. It's Ecclesiastes chapter 4, 9 through 12. And I want to share that with you, and then I'll share the other one. This is Ecclesiastes 9 through 12. Two are better than one, because they have a good reward for their toil. For if they fall, one will lift the other up. But woe to one who is alone and falls and does not have another to help. Again, if two lie together, they keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? And though one might prevail against another, two will withstand one. A threefold cord is not quickly broken. And then from Matthew chapter 18, specifically verse 20, but I would encourage you to read all of Matthew 18. It is one of the most concise guides, I would say, to how to behave within a loving Christian community. It is a way to care for and keep others and yourself accountable. So again, this is Matthew 18, verse 20, but I would encourage you to read Matthew 18. It is a wonderful and encouraging and uplifting, sometimes convicting, I will tell you that, chapter in Matthew that encourages all of us in living honestly within a Christian community. So this is Matthew 18, verse 20. For where two or three are gathered in my name, I am there among them. I'm sure that if you are familiar with scriptures, you know that one well. Where two or three are gathered in my name, I am there among them. Brothers and sisters, our journeys, while they are separate right now, there are ways to be together. No, it's not the way we want. No, it's not how we would choose. Now, there are some introverts, and I understand that, and you know what? You're probably pretty happy, but I also know a handful of introverts who are ready to not be constantly by themselves, who are ready for hugs and ready and willing to give them. Dear friends, this won't last forever. There is good news at the end of the tunnel, but we will still face challenging times, regardless of what is going on. I would encourage you to pay attention to those on your journey. Pay attention to the light you have and the light you can share. And pay attention to those relationships that are the uplifting, the positive. Learn from them. But most of all, thank the person you are in a relationship with. Tell them why they are important. And I would encourage you this week as you pray to pray for that person or those people. It may be more than one. That's perfectly fine. But I would encourage you to pray for them and pray specifically for your relationship with them. Whether they are a Christian or not, whether they have a heart for ministry or they know God or not, pray for your relationship, because when you do pray for your relationship, you are praying for that person and uplifting that person. Dear friends, we share our journey together. Remember, you are a beloved child of God, worthy of God's love and grace and forgiveness. Be well. Thank you. Have a good week.